Hey, hello. We're here. It's time to talk gray goo. Silo 308. Third season, 8th episode, and this one I feel like we really got some big answers. Some things that are, it's a big relief for me. I was just telling you guys off screen, it's a big relief for me because there's more stuff that I can talk about and as a book reader and speculate on now, because those things are out there. And I was having trouble, telling if people were coming about their theories honestly too. People would kind of, give the right answer, and you're like, did you read the book or did you figure that out yourself? So this is a nice inflection point, a nice place where we can start to have a different conversation about the show. And I'm glad you guys are here for that. One of the things that I was thinking about when I first put my video up, I had this idea of like, this guy is the perfect example of why no one should have that much money, Paris Denson. And when I first put it up, I got some pushback to that idea. And I think it was more of a just kind of the worst commenters come out first kind of situation. It didn't seem to be like this is a story about this isn't a story about this trillionaire coming in to save the world, right? I mean, like, we know they live in the silos later. That's not that cool, right?
Like, as in, are we supposed to be impressed with Paris Denson as like the hero of the story?
Yeah, like this episode, while I'm watching it, I'm like, this guy is unhinged, right? Like, he created the problem, and now he's dubbed himself as the only person who can solve it. Like, yeah. that's not how we want things to work, right?
I'm with you on that 100%.
Yeah. Okay. And you can see him flailing when like Helen really presses in and is like, you could use this money for literally anything else, cancer, poverty, save, fix world hunger. And he's like, well, it's my money and I can do whatever I want.
Plus you invented the weapons, right? So you could just go to these other, what you call hostile governments, and work it out so that nobody makes the weapons. But like, that would involve you not being able to make the weapons too, right? So yeah, I don't know.
I feel like it very much mirrors the nuclear proliferation in a way, because back in the day it was, the people who had the technology wanted to tell the people who didn't that they couldn't have it. So that's when you had, people stealing it and selling it and things like that, because it's
the solution, gives you the right. Yeah, the solution is everyone has it and then no one can use it. But they never go about it that way. They're like, we want to use this as a way to control. Like, this is about control, right? Like the whole thing about the silo, the pack, the way they live. Because I don't know, I was thinking about it because we started out with the question, the series started out with the question through Holston, right? He said, we don't know why we're here. Like, that's the big hook of the story from the beginning, right? Mm-hmm. And we found that out this episode. So I guess what I am going to let you guys introduce yourself. Don't worry. I was just trying to set it up a little bit, but they don't know why they're there. That's their question. Our question, we want to know that too, but our question is something bigger, right? Like, why is it like this? They are there. So like, why do they live that way? Like, why is it so important for them to be able to kill them if they need to? The question that Juliette asked, Bernard, why do they have to, like, why can't they have elevators? Mm-hmm. Because information will spread like that. The point of that is because information might spread too easily and then people might rebel. But why? Why those are the more interesting questions, I think.
Especially because like Paris Denson made a point to be like, we're putting all the finest literature and art in these silos as well, which people don't get to see that stuff. It might be in the IT vault,
Yeah.
but it's not for anyone to enjoy and read.
It's explicitly prohibited for them to see it because they might remember what life was like before.
Yeah. And he's making the decision as to what is the best, right? And the big thing I think for me is who gets to go in there. It's very limited space and is very exclusionary.
Right. Yeah. So I just wanted to make sure we're all on the same page and just thinking about the big questions, because like I said, we do get a lot of answers here, and like a good story, when you get those things that you're thinking about, it also makes you think about other things, and the story gets richer as it expands. So why don't you guys introduce yourselves? You can tell me what you think about this episode, how it fits in with things, and then just if you have anything to add about what I was saying about the big questions, feel free to do that.
Yeah. Hi guys, I'm Miscellaneous Gab here on YouTube. I do show breakdowns and deep dives and recaps. I'm covering Silo. I cover a lot of sci-fi and especially Apple TV shows. I loved this episode. I think a lot of us are really excited to talk about this episode because there's so much to talk about. There was like 4 distinct plot lines going on. So I'm excited because I feel like we've gotten some answers, but it's so much more complicated. Like we know why they started the silo, but we don't know, like Pete said, how we ended up where we are or how Daniel and Helen find their way back, things like that. So I'm so excited to dive deeper into what we're thinking about what we've been given this episode. And overall, I thought it was just a great episode. I think the last 2 episodes are going to be absolute bangers for this season.
Yeah. I agree with all that. Hi, everyone. I am Cris. You can find me on TikTok as Cris Cinema. I cover all things TV, recommendation lists, reviews, recaps. And so I'm doing Silo recaps every single week and some other theory videos as well. I agree with Gab. I thought this was an excellent episode. I think it just really gave us all of the answers that we were craving across storylines. We have like Orla Kent and the light bulbs, and then obviously in the past storyline, which is something that we've all been waiting for, as it was moving a little bit slowly with every mode of transportation every single week. So that was just very satisfying. And I think this had really great character moments as well. I mean, there were so many, 2-person conversations that I found really compelling, especially with Patrick Kennedy and Solo. Having him back was really, really great. I think Steve Zahn is incredible. One of the best decisions the show has made was to cast him. Camille and Sims, Juliette and Bernard, everything with that whole dinner table conversation in the past. So I think it did a good job of giving us answers while also just being one of the most interesting character-wise.
Yeah, so much stuff. Like, really, I know, like, I don't think it's one of the more dense shows. Definitely not one of the ones that I cover. Sometimes it's a little more laid back, but this episode, especially like my notes, like I had to spend a lot of time sort of organizing how I wanted to hit things because everything felt interconnected in a really satisfying way. And, there was just, like you said, so many different character interactions and storylines, all kind of moving at the same pace so that it felt really natural. I remember whenever I watched the first season, I was sort of, I had read the books and stuff, so I liked the story, and the adaptation took a little while for me to warm up to because it was, different than the way I imagined it in my head. And it was about this time in the first season where they really hit this gear where everything started to fall into place. And it's cool that they're hitting that again here. One of the things it's like, I don't know where to start with all this stuff because, like I said, it's all feels pretty important. Let's do. We had a question here. This is something that I saw in the comments of my video too. It's kind of out of order, but let's just go to it first. And it's Shambolic Rubik's Cube. why did they show us Helen gulping so much water in the greenhouse dinner scenes? There's something in the water. That's why the doctor didn't look worried when the helicopter went away. All right. So first off, the doctor, focusing on the doctor was obvious. Like they were like, don't forget this guy, right? He was important. But I hadn't really thought about them wiping their memories because they made such a big deal about the NDAs. And so I thought, I did think it was weird, and I don't think that they'll leave freely and not end up in the silos or involved in the silos in some way. But I just thought that they were giving him that free will so that they could, I thought they were maybe giving them some rope so they could hang themselves more than I thought, oh, they're just going to wipe their memories. Because the part about that doesn't really make sense to me is like, why are they so important? Like, why would they pursue them to the point of like black bagging them and making them forget? They're just like, I understand that Charlotte is a loose end and they're keeping her safe, but she stayed, and they didn't seem all that worried about it. So the big question everyone was asking was, of course, people were just saying that as truth, like they had their memory wiped during that meal, right? My answer on that would be no. I don't think that they did. What do you guys think about it?
I'm like you, Pete, where honestly, it did not occur to me when I was watching it. And then I saw all the theories after. I think it's an interesting theory. I'm not like, there's no way. I guess the only thing for me is that what if they said yes to the project? They were already serving them, water, wine, other liquids the whole night. So it seems weird that they would preemptively wipe their memories if they did say yes, which I don't think it was a guarantee that they were going to say no. I mean, they at least, signed the NDAs and made their way over there when they could have refused earlier. So I'm not sure if that would make sense. Like, it would seem like a pain to like restore their memories after they already said yes.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's a good point, Chris. Like if they were just to be like, yeah, sign me up, then what was up with what are they going to do with people who just forgot the whole conversation?
If you start forgetting a bit of stuff, don't worry. It's normal. We'll cut it off.
I think that's a great point. I agree with, I'm just curious on why them. I mean, if you want a writer, there's a lot of writers out there. Yeah. Daniel does not seem all that special to me in any way, shape, or form. So It's like he's good with the drills, but I'm sure there's great engineers out there.
Yeah,
allegedly. So for me, I'm curious to see how it plays out because I do feel like they are one step ahead of them in some way. Like they weren't too concerned about them investigating things. They didn't threaten them with violence. They actually threatened them, with a good time, with the things that they wanted. They hacked their car. So I'm curious to see what that next step is because they didn't look too concerned and maybe they're just they really believe in these NDAs or that they already kind of know what the next step will be for these two.
All right. So I am not a big tinfoil guy. I'm not a big speculator in general, but the vibe that I've had, and I don't know what exactly is making what the instigating thing was, but I thought this episode backed it up a lot. I'm wondering if Daniel hasn't already had his memory wiped before Charlotte, before anything. And so in a way he could be a test case because they're saying like, they're bringing him back into the fold. They're letting him do what he wants. Like you said, he seems kind of like just not all that spectacular in any particular way. But he could be a valuable asset if he's someone that they had wiped before.
Would they have wiped him before he worked on the digger or the drills previously?
Well, what I was thinking was it would have to do with something in his military career, because when he met his friend at the Pentagon, he said, like they were weird about their backstories, you know, like there was things that didn't completely add up. And I wasn't sure if they were trying to keep it from Helen, like if they were trying to keep it a secret or whatever. But that's what I'm thinking, because I just cannot figure out a reason why Daniel is so important in this scenario.
But is it
Like
just because they need a future? I don't know. I just keep thinking about his digger that doesn't disturb the soil up top. And
Right.
I guess I'm not 100% sure if that's what they're already using, or if like
no,
they need like his other version that's going to be better and more efficient. I don't know. I always hold on to that from when they mentioned it.
Yeah, my take on that is that's why she mentioned that Charlotte was a backup plan in this episode, because they had actually tunneled from Turkmenistan to Iran, and that's how they actually destroyed the nano facility. It wasn't Charlotte, and that was a 2-year project of making this crazy underground tunnel that to me seemed like it must be about what he did, because they tunneled underneath without anyone knowing it was happening. So,
Right.
Oh, so you think maybe he worked on that and then they wiped him, and now they're bringing him back in?
Yes, and because it's like they're still trying to figure out how this thing works, right? Like we can draw the connections now with what they're doing, what they did with Juliette earlier in the season, and what the doctor's doing with Charlotte, and how that, you know, how that's built into the silo is that, yeah, sometimes we're just going to make everybody forget, because we have this belief that if they don't remember something, then we can sort of reprogram them the way that we want them to be or something, right? Like that's what we don't really know, but that's sort of what it feels like it's shaping up as. So yeah, I didn't mean to derail the whole thing in the beginning, but like that's sort of what I'm thinking about is like, why is like the big questions for me are, why does it have to be this way? Like, you know, like I said, we have Holston doing his whole thing. We don't know why we're here. We don't know what it's like outside, why it's that way outside. We don't know when it'll be safe to go back out. We don't know why things are the way they are. You know, like that's the part of that is interesting to me. Like that's what I want answers to, is why are they that way? And then why is the silo designed the way it is? And what problem is that supposed to solve for humanity? Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then the other is just like, why do they make, I mean, they're making choices as storytellers, as TV creators, you know, they're saying this guy he's kind of cool, but he's not really, you know, like they could have made him.
They could have made him like a Juliette or something, but he, like you said, he is not remarkable. Even it seems as an engineer, or definitely not a congressman. Like he is just a guy. So I'm really curious either
like
to
he
know.
Literally told us that all he does is ask people for money on the phone all day.
Yeah.
And like with Helen, I mean, good for him. He finally got in there at the end of this episode, but like before that was not guaranteed. You know what I mean? Like that was not, I was not sure if he was going to close that deal or not.
Yeah. I don't know. I still think his naivete makes him more malleable. Like someone who's really, really smart and really, really talented doesn't really want to work for anyone else and maybe would be more skeptical. And obviously Daniel maybe surpassed our expectations when he just said this guy's crazy and he left. But I still think like this isn't really going to be their last attempt with them, even though it might seem that way right now. I also wonder too, like if they had fully wiped his memory, like if we go down that theory, then it just seems like a weird rabbit hole as to like who brought his memories back. Like I feel like Charlotte would have needed to restore his, and I feel like that would be happening around the same time that her mission happened. And then it's like, well, then who restored whose memories?
You may have unraveled my tinfoil right there.
I also wonder if I mean, not to take this on another tangent, but if their parents are important at all, because they don't have parents, their parents died
young.
young. So I don't know if it's like parents were influential in some way. I don't know.
That might make them good test subjects, right? Because he said we don't really have much of a family history because our parents died young.
So, so I don't know if it's just they don't feel connected to family and an extended family, so they'd be down to go, be one of the original 100 people, maybe. But
yeah, I mean, definitely with Charlotte, we've talked about Stockholm syndrome for her, especially since she does seem to be having some sort of situationship flirtation with Thurman's daughter. And obviously that's like a way to further ingratiate her with that family and wanting to be a part of this project. So for me, she really feels like the lab test subject, and Daniel's kind of just maybe an extension of that.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know. I feel like there's something that isn't adding up there, but like I said, I'm not huge on theorizing and doing that, partially because I do understand the story from reading, the end of it in the book. So it's like, it's not fair in some situations, but this is all pretty much in, non-book territory.
Okay.
Like, as far as the story in the book is concerned, like Daniel, he was on the project from the beginning, maybe not from the beginning, like the planning stages, but he helped to design stuff. Like, this version of him on the show did not do that. So he's being introduced to a different place. Like I said, there is no reporter named Helen. He has a wife. She only really exists off screen, and she's sort of this presence in his life. She's never a main character because he's in DC working. She's back in Georgia, with his dog. And I don't think they had kids. They didn't have kids. So it was just like her and the dog back in Georgia that he goes to visit every once in a while. But that's like,
interesting.
Yeah, that's completely changed up. So let's go through the episode. Unless you have anything else you want to add to this, any other derailment stuff you want to just throw out there in the beginning before we get going? It's a fine time for it.
Yeah.
No, nothing out of left field. Yeah.
You guys have anything to add about this magic radio from the bottom of silo 18, someone inside silo 17?
I don't know how radios work. I mean, I know how they work, but I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I know the intricacies of their limits.
Yeah, that doesn't seem like a big stretch to me either, that they would be able to figure out something that is done. You know what I mean? Like, Bernard told her how it worked because they already do that. They already change, with talking to each other from silo 1 or whatever. So
yeah, and like they've established, like once a show establishes a character as being very crafty, like that's all Walk does down in her workshop, I will just believe any sort of a tool or thing she creates or fixes.
Yeah, she's got like that. You gotta understand too, they have nothing but time, like they're not watching TV, they're not like checking social media, they're not doing any of the things. Like they can basically just figure out radios if they want to.
Yeah, they like can't even read books. Yeah, it's like they can't. I mean, I'm sure they have approved books, but it's not like they can like read, surf the web, pick up a photography hobby. Like you just have time to like tinker, work or draw. I don't know.
So we were saying that Daniel is maybe a little less impressive, but Helen, on the other hand, I got to say, she's becoming one of my favorites. Like, I really like everything that she did in this episode, including calling Charlotte cannon fodder. I mean, I guess that caused an event for her, and that wasn't very nice, but like, that's what it is. That is the truth.
Yeah.
I'm on her side for that. Everyone at the table was gaslighting her, and I was like, why is she the one apologizing and not the actual people that did use her as cannon fodder? Like,
yeah, that's what I thought too, honestly.
Yeah, I like how Helen represents maybe us as well, like what we would be asking in those situations, because I like how she grills him and grills Per Stenson, interrogates him a little bit. And so I think that her background as a journalist makes perfect sense for this, because she's not just some randomly really curious person. Like, it's kind of her job to be tenacious and chase down the truth. And I also like how there is a human side to her. Like, she did want to take that dream job at the Times. That did sway her a little bit when it was first offered. So she's not just like the morality police, just this holier than thou person. She's still willing to consider or take a deal or accept a bribe, but she has also her limits. And I think it's very human to be like, I don't want to get into whatever weird mole people experiment you have. If we're going to die, like I just want to go out, because a lot of people do feel that way. Like, they don't want to ride that wave until the very end of the world. They're like, yeah, just hit me in the first blast and put me out of my misery.
She called them Morlocks.
She also didn't even look at Daniel.
Reference.
She also didn't even look at Daniel on her way out. She's like, all right, well, I'm going to go call my Uber. Bye. And Daniel ran after her, but she was confident in her choice, whether he stayed or came with her.
Yeah, she didn't need any kind of validation or him to come. She was ready to drop him if necessary. It was cool. I like I said, she's obviously there for a reason. Like, the character's designed that way. But it's a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, I loved that Uber line. She's like, should I just get out of here and call an Uber? Like, what is going on? And yeah, I like that you pointed that out, because I think a lot of us would have just nodded along to their explanation about, having this backup plan to blow up the nanotech facility. But then, she's so sharp, and I like that the show establishes like how fast she is with putting the pieces together, that like that doesn't really make sense. Like, why would you have this elaborate backup plan in place that was almost more planning than the quote unquote actual plan?
Yeah, no, that was 2 years to do that in that situation. Like, there's, definitely was not the backup plan.
Yeah.
I think Helen continuously brings up the idea of like fake outs or false flag operations. And that has been a big theme of this season. Like, nothing is what it seems in this season. So, I mean, it was her questioning at the beginning, was that really a dirty bomb? Yeah. Did the US what did the US do as an excuse to get into this conflict, like some sort of false flag thing? So it's making me always have that front of mind, and kind of asking about the cannon fodder thing was pointing out, like, her mission wasn't what it seemed. There was something else going on. So it almost makes me wonder if the party line that they've given them about the silos is obviously like not exactly what it seems, or there's more to it. And I feel that way about a lot of other plot lines going on, like especially the Knox's dad and all that, which we'll get to, but that's like a strong theme of this season.
Yeah, you bring up the idea of like the let me just ask you guys this first, because how did that land for you, the gray goo? I mean, that was the big moment for these two. I want to be gray goo with you. What did you guys think about that?
I loved it. It worked for me. I couldn't believe that I was feeling swooned by Daniel after
I know, right?
after the way I've thought about him, but I just thought the way they did it was really sweet. It worked for me.
It obviously worked for her too. Like, that's what I wanted to ask you. Did you think that she was on board until that moment, or was that actually where she was like, all right? I mean, obviously she had to be thinking about it, but do you think that was the thing that won her over, was the way he stepped up with that in that moment?
I don't know. If Daniel has no haters, then I'm dead. Like, I didn't like it.
Yeah, Gab's the wrong person to ask.
I'm the wrong. I'm never gonna. It actually does kind of annoy me a little bit, because this is a really serious thing going on. Like what they're learning about, like that is a bombshell announcement. That is a life altering announcement. And that this man comes in and uses the word like cray cray and they're laughing. It just like, it makes me mad. And I know that most of you guys are going to disagree with me because we need moments of levity and cuteness and pickup lines, but it didn't work for me. But I get that they have grown feelings for each other after spending all this time together. And I would honestly think they still don't know each other enough to where Daniel would go make sure his very traumatized and damaged sister is okay, but that's just me. So I don't know.
Yeah.
That's all fair. I mean,
Yeah,
it's a character for Daniel to leave Charlotte behind and not ask enough questions as it pertains to her. That's definitely been a complaint I've had all season.
The Rosemary thing was pretty good though. He came through for her in that moment before he left, but he did that like, you know, I'm doing this out of the feeling of responsibility because I am definitely leaving you here and chasing this woman instead. You know, like that was definitely what happened.
Yeah, I do agree with something you said earlier, Pete, which was that I do think that moment was the tipping point for Helen, because I think that showed her that he has the same line in the sand as her and he has the same values. I think before that, maybe she was a little bit more, I don't know, suspicious of where exactly his loyalties lied and how much he could be swayed. So I just think that decision kind of said a lot to her. So I do think that was a tipping point.
Yeah, I think you're right. He did kind of grow some balls, for lack of a better word, by doing this. And like, he hasn't been much of a brave person or a leader. Like she's kind of been the leader, the one kind of trying to figure out the way they go about it. So yeah, I think maybe that move won her over.
Yeah, that was my impression too. But you know, I'm not always the best judgment of those kind of things. Like Chris, I was just sort of like, okay, you got me. You know, like I can understand everything you're saying, Gab, and I think generally speaking that I agree with those sentiments. But it hit the goofy part inside of me that is like, oh, you know what I mean? Like, dude finally did something for himself and it paid off. You know, so. I don't know.
But it makes me wonder if Helen was not there, if he would have gone along with it, or if she was down, if he would have been down. So is it really that he has this strong line in the sand, or that he's just following her around and doing what she decides to do?
And I think that part of the way they're characterizing him is that you can't read actually what's going on with him, right? Like I don't think he's indifferent. I don't think that's the implication. I feel like there's almost like he doesn't say what he's thinking about in the same way she does. She's completely upfront because she feels justified in her criticisms. To me, it seems more like he's trying to figure out where he's at. Like, you know, maybe because his sister's there. But at the same time, like the sort of like the original sin for him is like, I still can't believe that he wasn't fighting more in the beginning for Charlotte in this treatment situation. So, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, maybe he is just kind of passive and indifferent, but I think it's more of a situation of like, maybe he's a little more calculating and trying to figure out where he fits in that, because it's weird. You know, it's weird when a trillionaire picks you up and first hijacks your car and drives you for a few hours, like with AI or whatever, and then takes you on a plane, then takes you to this thing and says, hey, you know what? You're super cool. We want to tell you the biggest secret in the world. We're going to give you $1 million just for your time, you know, and then if you want, you can be here and have a good job working for us for the next 10 years, you know?
Yeah. Wait, I have a question for you two that I was thinking about, which is, do you think there is any other twist with Charlotte coming up? Because this whole time I've been like, well, of course they wiped her memory because they are trying to keep the secret of what we now know as the nanobots away from her. But they have literally told her everything since then, or at least as much as we know, right? In terms of like, here's the whole silo project. Here's why we built it. We actually did use your squadron as cannon fodder. It was nanobots that took over your plane. So I'm like, are they actually just genuinely helpful with the PTSD? Like, I just keep waiting for another twist, but it doesn't seem to be coming. So I was just curious what you guys thought of that.
I'm wondering if Helen connecting all the dots is going to put something in Charlotte, because like if she's slowly remembering, or if she kind of remembers what happened to her people, her squadron, and they were telling her like, oh, you got attacked by this nanotechnology and it's really dangerous, and look, we're trying to stop that, we're the good guys, then she could be like, okay, I got this doctor who's helping me out, I got, I'm on the right side. But maybe that plants something in her head where maybe she tries to sabotage it or comes to save the day. Maybe she kind of like, she couldn't unhear that line about cannon fodder. So I'd be interested to hear, like, I don't know. I think the memory about the rosemary was important because it said something about Charlotte's personality. Like, she is this strong-headed, strong-willed, kind of my way or the highway kind of person. And so I wonder if that memory and Helen's comment is going to help her remember herself, and she's going to object to whatever their ultimate plan is with the silos.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting question. I can't really answer because I know how her story is important in the book, and I don't think it's all that much different right now. So
okay.
I'm going to let you guys just talk about that. But there is some weird stuff. Obviously, what you're saying there, Gab, is true. It does tell us who she is. I know a lot of people are speculating now that she might have been the drone pilot. I don't mean
like in the present.
Yeah, that the problem with that is what you just said. It's the present. That's 300 years. So like they would have to explain that. But I saw several comments saying that maybe she was the drone pilot. That's why they didn't kill Kennedy, and which is another leap that I'm not sure that you can make based on what we know about Charlotte right now, that for some reason she would have a conscience and not want to follow orders if she was the person. But there's drones, and they ask her to be a drone pilot, right? So
yeah. So yeah, people are, the funny thing is I originally joked about that in my video review. I'm like, maybe she was the drone pilot and her aim is bad because she's still like really traumatized. Like, we should not put her behind the trigger of a drone. Like, this woman needs therapy and help and rest, not to go like drone some people again. So I was joking about that. And then everyone was, I've seen comments elsewhere on the internet of people genuinely thinking it was her and maybe she's trying to sabotage it. But obviously, unless there's some weird timeline warping, or they also invented a way for people to live long or go to sleep, I don't know, then I'm not sure. But I agree. I think it was just because drones were mentioned twice in each timeline.
Yeah. I mean, that's an interesting question, which I also just saw. I thought it, and then someone said it in the chat, which is like, why would they need a drone pilot for these silos in their original kind of iteration of it?
Well,
well, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I saw the same comment, and I was going to say, well, because they can't go outside. They can't send people out there unless they were in like suits or whatever. So drones actually make a lot of sense, don't they?
Yeah, you know what? I was thinking of it just to kill things, but I guess, yes, just for like checking things out, then that would make sense.
But is it like, I get why
they
would need...
I see the point you're making, sorry.
Yeah, I guess like I see why they would need a drone pilot in the current circumstances, but why do they need Charlotte as a drone pilot now? Like,
yeah, I think that's what Chris was just saying, that like they would just, if it was toxic outside and they can't go out there, they might want to explore the area, and you would do that by drone. It wouldn't have to be shooting anything or doing anything else. It would just be like a way to see the outside world when people can't go out there.
Okay, so they just kind of need her for that just in case, just like all of this is one big just in case type of setup.
Yeah, I don't think they mean that they need it for the construction process. I think it's
yeah.
more of like, once we go, we're going to want to have a fleet of drones so that Silo 1 can, you know, go out and see what's going on outside or whatever. So we're going to need drone pilots to train and write, you know, protocol and things like that.
Yeah,
I just wanted
that's
to
something I'm curious. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
I was going to say that is just one part that I'm curious about, is like, all of this is very non-urgent. I mean, obviously we know there is nanotech, but it's all like, this could happen in hundreds of years. So something I'm looking out for or just curious about is if Helen and Daniel are like actually around for when everything hits. I assume they have to be, otherwise why would we be introduced to these characters? But I just thought that was interesting that it like really was not an urgent thing, which is what you would expect for this big project. So I'm just curious like when that could hit, because it could be like 30 years from now.
And Helen's Pez dispenser is inside Silo 18 too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I just have a feeling that it's kind of like if you only have a hammer, everything starts to look like a nail type of thing. So if these silos are built and ready to go, then any problem could be the problem that sends them in there. Because I think Per Stenson genuinely just wants to send a bunch of people in a silo, and maybe he'll even be the inciting incident, or he'll manufacture it to get everyone in there. But that's because I also think he's like a bit evil deep down. So
even if he wasn't, even if he wasn't evil, it's just the undue influence, right? Like you said, he might just decide he wants to do that. And then he's like, well, you know, because humanity is kind of flawed, like, which is obvious. Everybody knows that. People have known that since they've been able to think, right? But this is the kind of guy who would say, oh, but maybe if I tinker with a little bit, I can do a little better than what we have. And like, that's the part I don't want. I don't want somebody with like that much power and influence just to be able to be like, you know what, I'm going to change humanity to how I think they would best, you know, how they would be the best.
Yeah.
So like, to me,
go
that's
ahead.
I'm just saying that's the horror. That's like the, you know, the dystopian part of it for me.
Yeah, I think the parallel with the unicorn is very appropriate here, because he created something just because he wanted to, and he had the money and the influence, and then it just became kind of like a joke on if someone were to hunt it. So it's almost like, well, what else does he want to create and tinker with? Does he want to create a different version of humanity? You know, it's getting a little mad scientist in there.
Yes.
Yeah, I think also the fact they refer to them as seeds, you know, like the Svalbard seed project, sorry, I forget the official name, right? It's like to keep all of the diversity alive of all the different kind of whatever plants or crops and whatnot. And it's like, that's why I feel like the whole kind of like genetics and birth control piece could kind of come in, right? It's like what are you trying to create? And then like, which types of people are you bringing down there? And like, why do you get to make that choice as to like, who's going to be like let into this place? And like, what are you trying to achieve in that sense as to like who you save, I guess.
Right.
Yeah. Lots of good points there. I just want to touch on this here. Muzzolina V, thank you for the $4.99. Giving Daniel a tiny bit of grace because they're hoping he might get a little more nuanced like Robert Sims. And that's a good point.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair.
I used to complain quite a bit about Sims, and now I'm saying that he's been one of my favorite characters this season. So
definitely.
That's a good observation. What do you guys know about nanos?
Not much personally. I mean, a few episodes ago when we had Aaron on, he was giving me a bit of a rundown. So that's the extent of my knowledge, really.
The only thing that I think of is that, and I don't want to get into spoilers for another show, but the 3-body problem. So if there's any 3-body problem people who watch the show or read the book, that's what I think of. And that's literally all I know about it. So
yeah, I mean, the important part is that these are so small that nanoscale is like, I mentioned it, like a millimeter. We know what millimeters are, right? That's like a thousandth of a meter.
We do.
And then a nanometer is 1/1,000,000th of a meter. So you can see see the scale, right? It's very, very small, very undetectable. You know, like that's why it's dangerous, is because the thing that's weird about the show is that it didn't really say what the non-military applications are. I'm guessing we will. Like in real life, they think that they'd be able to inject these into your body and they'd be able to repair things, or like they would be able to, like say in chemotherapy or something like that. Like if you put that into these little tiny machines that would be in your bloodstream, then they could just attack the cancer cells instead of like the your entire body and make you sick like chemo does and things like that. So there's a lot of stuff that they, you know, if they could produce them on a mass scale, and like a lot of the sort of like the bigger idea sci-fi is stories, like they become self-replicating to where the nanos can build other nanos. So they basically can just do pretty much anything from that point, because you can program them as one or to all work together on something, you know what I mean? And then it becomes like, it's sort of like, I don't even know what something to describe it would be, but it's just sort of like they're super tiny to the point that they could be put together with other things that work in the same way and then synchronized to do all sorts of things that just wouldn't be possible otherwise. So here we saw them, you know, they made a big cloud, and that took over all the electronics and whatever in Charlotte Squadron. They said they released some, and that was the dirty bomb scare. They released some in Washington, D.C., or the Dulles Tech Corridor, I think they referred to it as. So yeah, it's pretty scary because you can't see it. Like you could have nanos inside your body and not know that they were there. You could just get them from walking around, and they could get inside your lungs, inside your bloodstream, whatever.
Sorry if this is stupid, but like why do you think the black goo had to be black goo then? Like why couldn't it just like invisibly take down the plane? Like, is that a dumb question? I don't know.
No, I think there's TV reasons, like we had to see it, but also I think it's just a point of showing how like the volume of that, you know what I mean? Like that, like how
like so many that
yeah, like there was just so many that it was, because you know they did stop jet fighter airplanes, so it would have to be a pretty a large amount of them, I guess, right?
True. Okay. But yeah, I forgot the 3-body problem was also technically like nanotech, because I did watch that as well with the cool
the nanofibers. Yeah.
Yes, that was a really cool episode.
Yeah.
But.
Sophons were the thing that really blew my mind whenever I first read those books. The way that they could just sort of, well, that's just a whole different conversation. But let's come back to nanos. So Stenson's thing is that he says this is more dangerous than anything else. Do you guys feel that just from this pitch, or how did you receive his pitch about this threat?
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask, really, because I thought, you think of nuclear technology and I once had a professor in college in like an anthropology class I took say that nuclear technology changed humanity so much so like the last thing that changed it that much was domesticating the horse. Like not guns, not ships, like that is the impact that it has on humanity as, you know, horses and what horses were able to do for people. So in my mind, I'm like, okay, well, nuclear technology changed, or I guess nuclear weapons specifically completely changed geopolitical relations and all these types of things, but it still isn't necessarily in the hands of the everyday people. Like everyday average people have stolen the secrets and sold it to countries, but it still takes immense resources and knowledge to build it. So is Per Stenson trying to say that it's actually way more accessible by like not even maybe a foe like Iran, but just the guy in his mom's basement? Like, is that how we're supposed to understand it? Or do you guys buy that? I guess that was the thing I was curious about.
I think that's something that he's extrapolating that could happen down the road. I don't think that there's a way to currently produce those in your mom's basement. Like, you know what I mean? If you're just a guy sitting around, like the, you know, sort of the stereotype of living in your mom's basement or whatever.
Yeah.
I feel like there would still, the fact that that Iran having that program is such a threat, and that they're throwing out U.S. servicemen as cannon fodder so that they can find out how much it's advanced, would tell me that, yeah, you might be able to do something, but I don't think you can 3D print like at the nano scale in your bedroom at this point in history. Like the technology isn't that far advanced compared to ours.
Yeah, which makes me wonder, like he was saying, oh, I could buy Iran or I could end this war. But that wouldn't matter. That wouldn't solve the problem. So to me, it really goes back to, I think Stenson just genuinely wants to send a bunch of people into the ground, and nanotechnology is a threat, but I think he's looking for anything that will allow him to facilitate his experiment.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's supposed to maybe not be a deliberate parallel, but be like the way that people talk about like AI right now, where like people are like, it's inevitable, it's happening. And then a lot of people are pushing back like, well, no, you're the people that are making it happen. It doesn't really have to be this inevitable thing if we don't want it to be, but you're the one like putting it into the Google searches so that you can't not use it. Like it's always a thing. Yeah. And so I don't know if he's just trying to like sort of portray nanotech that way. Like it's been created, like, you know, it's out of the can, it's out in the world. So it's only going to get bigger and there's nothing we can do about it. But of course, we don't totally have the full picture. Like, is Iran the only country with a nanotech facility and with this advanced technology? Like, is it just Stenson in Iran, or is there like anyone else in the world with it right now? Because maybe it is too far gone to like really put a lid on it. I don't think we have all the information there. But I would say in terms of how he's like portraying it, it kind of sounds that way.
Yeah, I do think we need to learn more. Like what did Per Stenson invent that was so, I mean, because if he was a trillionaire, it sounds like he might have been that world's or that timeline's first trillionaire to be. He says he's the richest person in history. So he must have done something else besides just make a weapon. But they, like I said, they didn't really have to explain that to Helen and Daniel, because they would already understand that from just living in that timeline.
He seems to do a lot because he's like, I'm almost done curing Alzheimer's. And you're like, are you really, buddy? I don't know. But he claims to be.
And he's also kind of an alarmist on AI, right? Like, wasn't that something that Sam mentioned, or he's the one who's warning about how easy AI hacking can be? So AI is a totally different problem they're facing than nanotechnology, correct? Like it's, unless AI controls nanotechnology, because when he said that the whole hijacking of the car was just to give them a preview of the problem they're facing.
That was for AI, yeah.
That was for AI. Okay. That's what I thought.
Or at least that's how I interpreted it. He didn't make it explicit, but that's what I was thinking, because he said just one of the threats, which was, it would have been cooler maybe if they would have done nanos, just sort of had them completely overwhelmed with nanos and being like, all right, you guys want to come have lunch now?
Well, see, I think people have different interpretations. I feel like people had different interpretations of that, because someone in the chat was like, oh, Chris, like the invisible car was the nanos, like that was the nanos doing that. But did he confirm it was AI?
He didn't. Like I said, that was just my interpretation. He said, we just want you to,
I guess it could be either.
It could be, but I never really thought about the nanos driving the car. Maybe they could. I don't know.
If they took down a jet plane, but like I said, I don't know if they have to look like the black cloud every time. Like, I don't know if it's like from a show perspective, like when you're making these things, like, is the black goo our indicator as an audience of like, this is nanotech, or would they ever do a version of it that's not that, right? I guess we need another example on the show to see if that's like a continuing like visual pattern for us.
This is one of the things that I want to ask Hugh whenever we talk to him, if what he thought about nanos and what they're doing, and if it's the same, because that is pretty, the idea of nanotechnology is pretty essential to the books. And I'm trying to think, like, it must be at least 15 years now that the first book came out. So like, it's kind of weird that it's Iran, and then, like completely independent of the fact that there's actually a conflict with Iran right now. At the time, that was just sort of they were sort of like a boogeyman for certain people, and it just sort of, it seemed like it made it like they were kind of easy, because not too many people knew that much about them, you know what I mean? So it was like, if you would have made it like the Soviet Union or Russia or China or India or one of these other major things, then it would be like, I think it would be a little bit more complicated to write about, because, you're talking about like something that a lot of people interact with all the time. How about, we touched on it a little bit, but one of the things that I wanted to ask you guys, and we'll use this as a transition into Silo 17. So Lucas, he got shot. There's a hole in his suit. And the way he gets in the front door whenever Audrey worries about the poison is to say, look, if there was poison, I'd already be dead. Which makes a lot of sense, because he's no longer protected from outside once he gets shot. So what do you guys, like, what are your working theories on like what's going on outside now, knowing what we know after this episode? Because we had that thing that we've talked about before, about Solo saying that no one died in Silo 17 when they first went outside. We saw all of their bodies in gruesome detail as Kennedy and Lucas walked over them. Like, I don't remember that being so awful the first time we saw Juliette do that. That was really grim. Like, she was saying that to Walker. She's like, we need someone who's really strong. I'm like, why? And it's like, some dead bodies or whatever. And then I was like, well, okay, that is terrible, actually. That you have to walk over. It's like carpeted with dead bodies. But so what do you guys think is going on outside right now? Obviously, I know.
So if there is a larger conspiracy, I guess there is the chance that they like spray poison out of something at like intervals. And so it's like not constant. It's just whenever someone, I don't know. I
maybe that's what they need the drones for.
Yeah, like it either goes in and out, the poison, or honestly, I guess I was just thinking of the poison like viruses, where I was like, is it just like an aerosol viruses versus like droplet viruses, right? Like, I was like, is it just poisonous if you literally breathe it in versus it's not really poisonous if you don't breathe it in? Like it wouldn't really matter if there's like something like a surface you touch or something like that, right?
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know how the poison works, but I did figure if it was like a virus, then it could just be aerosol versus like droplets.
One thing I think we can all agree on is that when some people go outside, they absolutely die because of the environment.
Yeah, like in the beginning, like Holston and Allison, and like they died because they had leaky tape and the poison got into their suit. Like that's 100%.
Yeah, that stuff's all real. So
yeah,
so like you said, it could be a thing where the poison's not there all the time. I mean, when you introduce nanos, then there's obviously it could be that it's nanos and it's not poison in the sense of how we think about it. But I don't think there's anything that really points to that here, except for the introduction of nanotechnology.
Yeah, because I saw a comment on my video, and they were actually saying that they found the show to be not believable because they're like in a place like Georgia where it's humid or something. You'd never, even with like a nuclear fallout, you wouldn't just get a barren wasteland because of just the water content in the air and the humidity. I don't know. I'm not a environmental biologist or whatever. And that certainly doesn't mess with my viewing experience, but it's not only like poison might be pumped every once in a while, like for when somebody has a cleaning, but there's also something that keeps the vegetation dead and the land barren. So I'm curious about that because Lucas had a hole in him, probably a more intense hole than the tape would allow. All the people from 17 didn't die right away. So I don't know if they just like release poison when someone goes out to clean, or maybe the path by the camera has like a little pipe where the poison comes out. Maybe it's the same kind of poison that they pump into the silo. I'm not sure. I'm very curious to learn what the answer will be.
Jacob Livingston 6683 says, I thought they just shoot everyone with the drones. Is that not what you all thought after seeing the drone shoot Lucas and Kennedy? I didn't think that Holston or Allison died by being shot. No,
I went back to watch Allison's, like I went to the end of the episode, and she does kind of just do like a slow kind of descent to the floor, like, you know, as if she was breathing something in and struggling.
He takes his helmet off.
Right, because he thinks because he thinks the world is good, obviously, because the camera, so he does try to breathe, and then that doesn't work.
Yeah, and it doesn't.
From what I remember.
Yeah, pretty expressly, like the air is what does it. Something in the air is what ends it.
Yeah.
Not a gunshot. But they do that. I think it does ask the question about I think this does address the question about how the people of Silo 17 died. I find it a little bit hard to believe that they shot everybody that's dead there, like 10,000 people, like a whole silo's worth, as they mentioned, with drones. Like that's a lot of bullets. That's a lot of shooting. You would think a lot of people would be able to get away just by sheer numbers, you know, like if 10,000 people all running at the same time, at least a few of them would have to be able to get away. But those people all did die, which we were reminded of. So, you know, that's something to think about, I guess.
Yeah, I always thought all those people just eventually died of the poison, and it really was about poison. And I don't know, maybe the poison has decreased over the last few months. I'm not sure. I don't have any good theories.
Yeah.
I know what it is. So
do you, Pete, do you think that's something we'll find out this season, or is that like a later mystery, perhaps next season?
How the people in Silo 17 died?
Yeah. Or just the truth of all of poison or getting shot.
I hope so. I don't think so.
Okay.
Not for the pace of the way that things have developed so far. It would be cool. We only have 2 episodes left. in order to do that, they would have to go back in time again. So that's where I'm wondering. Like I could see them opening next season like that, like with the flashback. Like it would be awesome. I hope we do.
Yeah.
But there's so much we don't know yet, like how Helen and Daniel get back in line, if they get back in line, like like there's gonna have to be a time jump,
right?
So can we do a time jump because I mean we've seen the trailers and stuff, so we know a little bit about like stuff that hasn't shown up yet. At least I did.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I think we're gonna have a time jump in the before times, and that would mean it would be a little bit more difficult to have a thing. But last season did end with the introduction of the before times, which was a huge tone shift at the end of things into a completely different timeline. So that's not necessarily a normal structure. That it worked well, and I wouldn't be surprised if they did something like that again. But just when I think about it, like when I just try to just sort of put it all into place in my head, I wouldn't think that they would do that yet.
Okay.
Okay.
Makes
We'll
sense.
see. I don't know though. Now that you're saying it, I'm thinking it's possible, but maybe it's just because I want to see what they say, because I don't really know. You know what I mean? Like I don't know what they're doing there.
Yeah, maybe it's just like another, like there's the safeguard that pumps the poison through a big pipe. Maybe there's mini pipes along the outside of the silo that can release, and then the third line of defense are the drones. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I know, but you make a good point, because I was thinking that, Gabby, but then you make a point about like the barren land and everything. And so it's like, is there something environmental that happened that led to the barren land, but then also poison that they themselves spout out in some way?
Yeah.
And maybe there's just kind of two things going on at the same time.
I thought the same thing when I was looking at my video, and the way, some of the older episodes, whenever she sees, but when she looks out and sees what's real, that's Atlanta in the distance. It's destroyed. Like undoubtedly destroyed from something.
Yeah.
Like that's something that's baked into the mystery of the story, is like, how did that happen?
Yeah.
so
And is it like, is that pervasive? Is the whole world like that, or is it like a localized thing?
Yeah. So that's something that, because I just sort of forgot about it, you know what I mean? Because they mentioned Atlanta in this episode, and I forgot that they show that pretty explicitly, that that's not something that's an illusion or something that they're using as a deterrent. Like the city of Atlanta is destroyed in the distance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys have any ridiculous overspending vanity purchase you want to mention?
Oh my god.
I don't know what that
for something
was
for something we already have, or
yeah, like would it be my vanity purchase if I were a billionaire, or currently? Because like I don't have that kind of disposable money to buy. Like,
let's do it if we were a billionaire. I would get a little alpaca farm. Like I would love to have. I just think they're so cute, and I would hire someone to take care of them, but I would just love to go outside and pet a little alpaca at any time of my day.
That is so random, and I love that. Like that is so random.
I would like to have. I was just gonna say, if I was gonna buy like something like that, and it's in that vein, like I would buy durian orchards for sure.
Durian orchards?
Yeah. Like just
do you giant like durian?
Farms full. Yeah, durian is amazing.
Wow, you guys, like I was gonna say I'd get a yacht. Like I don't.
Hell yeah, go for it.
I don't have.
I would ride on your yacht. I would ride.
Yeah, like I love to travel so much, so I would get a yacht for sure, and invite all you guys along and have parties and watch parties on it. We could bring Hugh Howey over there and do book club.
Yeah, he spends quite a bit of his time on a boat, so
yeah,
he could probably meet you somewhere.
Yeah,
But
I don't know.
you guys had a more wholesome answer. Now I just feel like a greedy billionaire with a yacht.
Okay,
I mean,
Stetson.
I didn't have a thought in my head. It was just that I have thought that before, that like if I had just disposable money and I wanted to invest in something, that would be fun, you know, to just have. Like, I used to think about that when I was driving around in the US and you see those orchards, like olive orchards in California or other things where it's like, it just looks really cool. Everything's in line. It's like really like just, you know, just seems like it goes on forever when you see it from the road or whatever. And I was just, since I've lived here, I think it would be super cool to have durian, because that's just an insane thing that grows on a tree.
Would you just want the orchard, like the durian orchard, or would you want to like process it?
Yeah, like I would hire people to work there,
Okay.
I guess. Like I have no background in farming, you know, like agricultural sciences or whatever, you know what I mean? So I would have to hire people to actually run it. And I wouldn't really care, I guess, if I was that rich, I really wouldn't care if it was making a ton of money or not. Just, you know, just have a nice place for people to work and a nice supply of durian for myself.
Guy loves his durian. I love that.
I don't even love it that much. It's just, you know, it's good. I don't know what else. Like I said, the original idea was from seeing orchards in the US, just because they're so cool looking.
Yeah. I love the alpaca idea. I think having land and being able to adopt any dog that is like in a shelter or on a kill list, like that would be my wholesome version of if I was a billionaire, just like a puppy dog sanctuary where everyone could just run free and no dogs would be put down.
Did you go to the one in Thailand? Like you said, you spent time in Thailand also. Did you go to the one there?
There's a dog sanctuary there?
Dog and cat. Yeah. It's an elephant sanctuary, but the woman who does it, she also takes in dogs. Like they have thousands of dogs that
I'll have to go back and visit
from throughout the country there. And they just all hang out inside there while you stay. It's pretty cool. Let's talk about Silo, maybe.
Yeah, sorry guys. Sorry.
It's a good question.
People who clean, don't they pump stuff through their suit?
I feel like we established that they don't, right? I mean,
it's the tape. The tape is the key. Is a key part of the story. The tape not working, and then them switching it out so that Juliette survives is a huge part of the tale.
Yeah. So I wonder if they don't pump stuff through their suit, but they do like spray them with a bunch of stuff before they go out. So I wonder do they blast them with poison and then it takes a few minutes to seep through the faulty tape? I don't know.
Yeah, now that you say that, I remember the visual of them whenever they're getting ready, when they're getting the suits prepared, they were like blowing something, but no, I don't think that makes much sense that there would be actual poison inside the suits. Thank you for the $9.99 again, Jacob. We can assume Helen and Daniel 100% get back involved because the Pez dispenser makes its way in. So we at least for sure know Helen does somehow and enters a silo. I think that's true.
I think in the next episode, we're going to get a scene of Daniel and Helen, like both at their boring lives. Like Daniel's going to be back at his desk calling people. Helen will be handing out her resume to new publications that don't want to hire her because of her journalistic fraud allegations. And then they're going to go on a date and be like, yo, I think we should do this. And then go back. That's my prediction.
Yeah, I think it would be more interesting. I do think they will maybe make more of an active choice to go back. But I did have someone in my comment sections that did bring up the idea of like Helen gets kidnapped and then just like wakes up in a silo, which I thought was a very terrifying prospect, right? To just one day be like, holy shit, I'm underground and I'm never going outside again. But I don't know if that would be a thing where they like wipe her memory and then they just bring it back and she's like already underground. But I don't really like that. And I think there's been some stuff in the trailers that maybe show them like outside somewhere, like outside the silo, like in images that we haven't seen yet. So, and that's from the trailer. So I'm sorry, I'm not trying to give like spoilers, but I do think they end up back there in a more natural way.
Yeah.
Oh, I see that there's a fellow Dorian lover here.
Yeah, people are getting really excited during that conversation.
I wasn't looking at the actual chat. Yeah, there's a few of them. You're right. Yeah. All right. Sorry. So back on to the silo. So you guys are talking about them coming back, and I think, I don't know how they're going to, but I think it's more likely, like you said, Chris, it's not that they get kidnapped and just wake up, even though that would be a terrifying outcome. I think it's more that they come around to the idea one way or the other.
Yeah. I had one idea that, again, because Helen does speak truth to power, like maybe she would go back to think that she can influence it in a positive way. Like, again,
from the change things from the inside.
Yeah, like, oh, maybe I can help people get in here that are like low income or like don't have, the same means as everyone else to like pay to go in there. Yeah, you know what I mean? Just kind of do something to like somehow make it more equitable or fair in some way.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Let me just look at this. I'm trying to think of how I can say something without spoilers. Science Bunnies, thank you for the 20. What about all the smoky gas that gets blown on people going out the airlock? Could that be the poisonous? It makes sense to spray disinfectant on the way in, but not really the way out. What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, that's kind of what I was trying to say before. I don't know if I explained it properly, but when they blast them with the air, if that is poison and it takes time to get through the faulty tape, and Juliette had the tape protection and Lucas never got sprayed to go out. Like they didn't do like a whole spraying situation ceremony.
They definitely didn't do that with them.
Yeah.
Because they rushed out. Yeah.
I think that point has convinced me more. The fact that Lucas and Kennedy left in a very different way.
People have been saying this in my comment section since season 1, for sure.
Yeah. I think I thought this in season 1. I'm like, what are they spraying them? Before I knew about the tape being faulty, I thought like, are they spraying them with the thing that kills them? So I think it's certainly fair. And if they have those mechanisms, maybe that could have been triggered when the people were starting to go out of silo 17, and that's why they could only make it so far, because they didn't make it any farther than anyone would have made it, like Holston or his wife. Like they make it just over to that like crest of the hill and then they die, like, or just before that crest.
It's pretty, it's pretty uniform the way it happens, because, and that's why they get like, whoa, it's so surprising to everyone involved when she hits the hill, because nobody ever really hits the top. They all die. It depends on which direction they go, but they all sort of die in the exact same amount of time and fall where they're at,
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, like I can't, there's nothing I can say about it because I know how it was in the books for sure. All right. So Patrick Kennedy, kind of had a big episode for him. I liked it. I thought it was pretty good. it was pretty. I thought it was pretty obvious last time that he would have to step up whenever he came on the radio, and turns out that it wasn't some other conspiracy going on. It was Patrick on the radio. I know that was popular theory at the end of the last episode was they faked his voice or some other thing was going on. What do you got? You guys have anything that you want to throw out there about Kennedy and his situation?
Yeah, I mean, let's talk about the beginning of the episode. I definitely felt like less of an idiot because I remember last week I was like, oh, I kind of took it all at face value, but then I thought the theories were really good. Like I did think there was like a point to the fact that, he wasn't sure about the code names. And then I was like, oh my God, I'm so stupid. But I was like, okay, sometimes the show just isn't as twisty as we think sometimes. Like I think sometimes it is just kind of exactly how they portray it.
Almost always, I think. Almost always.
Yeah, like I love theorizing. It's fun, but I think sometimes it really just does not end up being as crazy as you think. And I guess we'll get to that later as to whether that is going to apply to the light bulb situation or not. But yeah, no, in terms of Patrick, I just loved this character development for him. I think, he's a guy who's kind of like, I think he's deeply unconfident, even though he tries to project confidence to everyone in terms of how he's like a leader and leading the outsiders. But I think he is kind of a little like insecure. Like he's like, I'm just the bullshit guy. And then, Lucas kind of reframes it as like, you are the bullshit guy. Like you can lead people, you can inspire people. And I liked that he had the confidence, but then also brought it to a very like vulnerable place with Solo when talking about his wife. And we got to see him in a more just like real raw way than we have before. And I thought that was really like a nice way to like reframe death, because you kind of just forget how traumatized, someone like Solo is. Like he just never, I mean, no death is not traumatizing, but like his only experience was not like people dying in like a natural way. It was like everybody was, whatever, poison.
Yeah,
I guess we're still discussing that, right? But it was a traumatizing way for everyone to go. And so, yeah, I just thought it was a really, really beautiful scene, and those two acted the shit out of it. So I really liked it.
I did like that little bit with him saying, I didn't know anyone who died until everyone did. Like that was
so sad. Yeah. I loved it. I mentioned this in my video, but I like Solo's new look. And I was like, did they shave his beard so that he and Kennedy wouldn't look like twins in a way? Because they do look like they could be brothers with that, the gruff beard and the hair. But Solo is such a great character, and the way that he reacts to his trauma is very unpredictable and sometimes extreme. Like Juliette was scared of him in season 2 when he's like, I'm the IT shadow, and he went a little crazy. And I think you have to handle him with care if you want him to either tell you something or do what you want. You can't just say like, do it. He doesn't respond to force. So I love the way that Kennedy reframed it and almost made it feel like it was Solo's idea. And the other thing that really struck me is that Audrey was ready to like stab Patrick to defend what Solo wanted. And
he flashed the knife like, I will stab you, son.
Yeah. And they were trying to kill Solo just a couple months ago. So it's kind of cool to see how they've bonded and become a family given their previous history and animosity and everything.
I loved that. Great. That was like the he said no pickles meme,
I just want to interject real quick. G Money 08 said that they definitely did spray Lucas and Kennedy. So I went and checked and he's correct.
Oh, okay.
I was wrong.
I guess we're wrong. I didn't think they sprayed. So
yeah, I thought they just walked out, you know what I mean? But like, if you go back and watch, they're standing there, they look kind of scared, and you see it's not the exact same way as I remembered it before, but you could see the airlock. There's sort of like smoke coming up, like rising as they're getting ready to leave. So
Okay, my bad.
I would have to go back and look a little bit more closely when we're not talking about something else, but I just wanted to check because they seemed pretty sure, and they're saying
Okay.
that we were wrong, and we were actually wrong.
Okay, I do think that puts a big hole in our they're getting sprayed when they go outside theory. Then I'm gonna put a thumbs down on that one.
Yeah,
now.
table that one.
But yeah, I thought that this is like another thing that's sort of been hitting me over the last couple episodes. I talked about this with Knox, now Patrick Kennedy. I kind of talked about that whenever they sent Kennedy out, because Kennedy was kind of like comic relief more is the way that I thought of him until now, until I realized he might die when they sent him out there, and I didn't want that to happen. I feel like the things are coming together as far as like these little character moments are starting to pay off. Like we have real investment in a show that wasn't necessary. Like it revolves so much around the main characters in the past. Like I feel like it's the larger ensemble is starting to feel like, people that we're invested in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that, because I think season 1 was very much like the Rebecca Ferguson show, in a way that was good, honestly. Like I felt very, very invested in Juliette's character, and then I think there's maybe some issues with season 2, but I guess I struggled with it a little bit because I felt like they had the split timeline, but I just didn't feel like the characterization was as great as this season last season. So I kind of struggled with like Juliette not being the main focus, but then feeling like they weren't utilizing all of the other characters to their fullest extent. But I feel like in this third season, they've like finally figured it out, where I find a lot of the other characters to be as compelling as Juliette now. And I think that's why these episodes are working for me better, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's good stuff. I'm glad it's happening that way. Just because, like that's why I watch TV, is because we get to spend more time with characters, and we get to spend seasons watching them change and grow, and interesting things happen. So the reason I was bringing it up right here was just because we are getting into the end game here.
Yeah.
We have 12 more episodes to go still, but as far as the plot is concerned, like we are getting to where these are the people who are going to be involved in the ending at this point. It's like some of them may die next week or whatever, you know what I mean? I'm not saying that they're all safe or whatever, but these are our characters now. There's not going to be, they're not going to be introducing a bunch of new characters in season 4 because, unless they meet another Silo or something like that.
Okay.
Which would be cool, but I could see them not being able to just explore a whole other Silo and a whole other cast and everything.
Yeah. Robert Lukes, thank you for the $19.99. Is it possible the outside world is actually okay, and they just use drones to poison the 46-acre field so that it always looks desolate? Like when the bug man comes around and sprays the neighborhood.
I mean,
I can't say anything about this, so
I think that
just for you guys.
Yeah. I mean, I think that works, because I mean, we were just talking about like spraying the poison at like intervals as to how Lucas didn't get poison in his time outside. But yeah, you go ahead.
Go ahead. No, sorry, Finn. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was just bringing up the same question again of like, does the poison do two things at once? Like, is the poison keep... I guess that would make sense. Like, it's keeping the area desolate and it's killing people, versus those two things being like separate causes. That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Yeah, I think what Pete brought up about Atlanta, that's still important. Like, there is a city far off in the distance that does not look populated whatsoever. There's no, I mean, even if the Silo area is restricted airspace for whatever reason, there's no planes, helicopters, lights on, or anything.
Yeah, because they can see outside. So if there was stuff going on out there, they would catch glimpses.
Like, it looks really flat And so I'm curious if we'll get a shot of the city skyline in the before times, like from Per Stenson's property, because the only other thing I could think of is there's just like a giant green screen, like Truman Show type thing going on around to make them think it. I don't know, maybe the nanobots can do that. Maybe the nanotechnology can like create another fake screen like in their helmets. I don't know. I'm just really excited to find out.
Yeah. I mean, things could be better in like another part of the world too, right? I mean, like maybe things are bad in the States or at least in this like whole region, but like, I don't know. I mean, I guess they could be fine over in Asia, Europe, wherever else, and they would have no idea. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I assume the whole US would be affected, because how would you be allowed to like, I don't know, like why would it just be happening there?
Right.
Do you guys think that there's anything with this? I saw a lot of this, that Camille is, a lot of people still saying that Camille might be doing some behind the back work. Like, I still feel like, at least for me, I still feel like Camille is doing what she has to do. And I thought she even explained it a little bit in this episode where she said, maybe it'll be better if Anthony forgets all this trouble that we're having, you know, his parents are having at this time.
Yeah, I think Camille was really interesting to me in this episode, because when she was telling Robert about that, it's like she's simultaneously doing what she has to do, becoming a little bit more brutal in the way that she handles things. But at the same time, her being like, oh, well, if Anthony forgets what's going on between us, that would indicate that she sees a future in which her and Robert will be happy again and they'll make it through. And maybe they won't have to keep pumping the drugs in through the water. So that was really interesting to me. But then at the same time, like the jury's still out on if Camille is going to save the day or become even worse at the end of all of this and become less likable.
I feel like it's 50-50. We don't know which way she's going to go. And I feel like either one would make sense if depending on how the circumstances play out.
Yeah, it was interesting when she started to talk to Sims. I almost had a second where I thought she might be like joining our side, because she starts off saying like, you said there was a way to stop Silo 1 from killing us. And I was like, oh, maybe she wants to know like for herself, because I've always felt like her goal in theory should be the same as theirs. Like in my mind, the only reason she should be following the algorithm is because it's holding the safeguard over her head. But if the safeguard were no longer to exist, then she would not have to follow the algorithm in this way. It wouldn't have anything to hold over her. So I kind of thought she was almost being genuine there. But then obviously 2 seconds later, she's like, you know, Juliette wanted to send her friends to the other silo. They said there was kids that needed help. Like, what's going on there? I need to know why they sent them. And then I was like, oh, right. She's like getting information for the algorithm as it told her to. But that scene was just so interesting, the way they were manipulating each other, because you could almost like, they're so good at it. And I think that's obviously why they're a good couple, right? Where you could almost like believe them for a second, even though you know that they're lying and they are manipulating, but they are like very convincing at what they do.
And Rob really, really just the end of it was so good. The way that he was like, and you failed, just as I hope you'll do here. Like, it was like, oh man, you didn't even have to say that part. You know what I mean? Like, that's just husband and wife stuff, like serious pushing buttons, extra pushing buttons just because you can. You know what I mean? Like, I love that. It was so good.
Yeah.
One thing with Camille that was interesting to me, and I pointed this out in my video, but I don't think many agreed with me, is like Camille goes to the algorithm and the algorithm is like pissed off, like with the red lines or something. Like they're both
interesting,
pissed.
huh?
Yeah. And the algorithm, I think, referred to it as we, or said the word we or something. So things are changing. The dynamic is changing. They're both like running out of time. They're backed into a corner. And Camille asked the algorithm, hey, can you tell me how they would the pipe so I can, go stop them. And the algorithm's like, I can't do that. And then she asked again, and the scene ended. Like, the scene ended there. And that was the last we saw of her talking to the algorithm in that entire episode. So part of me wonders if the algorithm is now completely out of its depths. They say we because now there's like more people, more brains involved in this. And they do, go out and tell her something, or tell her, maybe not tell her everything, but tell her enough where she can figure it out. And then she comes to maybe save the day, or, comes in at the last minute. Did you guys think that at all? Or am I reading too much into it?
No, I mean, I thought the same thing, that the algorithm was like totally stumped. I mean, I think we've talked about this, of thinking that the algorithm is definitely human, especially last week. And I think that was absolutely confirmed for me this week. Like, it definitely was sounding annoyed and like just didn't know what to do. Like, it really is in a situation where there's no right choice to get what it wants without violating another one of its rules. I think they cut off the scene to keep us in suspense, but I feel like it's still wondering. I agree with you though. Like I said, I hope that at the end of the day, once she does figure this out, she'll realize her interests do more so align with like our heroes, Juliette and such.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if that'll even happen this season.
Right.
I don't know what the timeline will be.
Yeah.
I think that they established, and like, I do know a little bit, so I can't engage with everything you're saying there. There is no Camille, but there's a similar storyline in there. But they did establish with her that part of her character and part of what her and Rob were doing through seasons 1 and 2, where they didn't commit to either side. Mm-hmm. They were waiting to see like how things would break, and they were more the kind of people who would maximize their position based on what was available to them. Like, that's the way that's the way I always thought about it. They were always kind of frustrating in that way, because I'm like, are they good? Are they bad? I don't know, because they're really just looking for an opportunity to get ahead. Like, they were like, in some ways they were just trying to get Rob into a position of power so that it would be good for their family. And we knew there was more, but it was like, I don't know if they're evil or if they're mostly good, but they have to make hard decisions, or like, what's going on with them.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that's,
go ahead. Sorry, I was just going to say, I think she's annoyed with it too, because even from the beginning, it's like, sorry, you can't go to sleep yet because we're in this predicament. And I think she's someone, not even in a selfish way, but I think she is someone that looks out for herself and what is best for her and her family. Mm-hmm. And so if that's no longer aligning, which it's obviously starting to not, like, she can't sleep, she's stuck, it's causing her a ton of stress, she doesn't know what to do, it doesn't know what to tell her to do. Her husband's in jail. I mean, she put him there, but
yeah. And I think that's what makes this character interesting, is that I know I saw a lot of people whenever early in the season, they were saying, oh, she loves the power, she loves being able to do this and that. I don't think that was ever really what was, I'm sure, I mean, she's human, so we do respond to that. Like, if someone says you're going to be the head of IT, you're like, hell yeah, of course. Yeah. Finally, someone recognizes that I'm smart enough to run this place.
Totally.
But like, beyond that though, I didn't think that was ever her motivation. At the same time, I do think that she would nuke and erase everyone's memories if it was the best thing, if it was what she thought was the best thing she could do for her family in that situation.
Right.
Does that make sense?
I agree.
Like, more of a realist than anything else. Like, she's like, this is the way it's going to be, so I need to make sure that me and mine are okay.
But do you think, I agree with that for sure, but I think the algorithm is almost stoking the fire a little bit, like, oh, you found out Rob betrayed you.
Yeah.
And I do think that she is very family oriented, but if you realize like your husband betrayed you, there'd be a little bit of like personal pissed offness there.
Oh yeah.
So I wonder if
justifiable anger.
Maybe gonna
righteous.
overcorrect. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like overcorrecting a little bit, because I mean, if you look at it from Camille's point of view, like she got thrown in this position. She's between a rock and a hard place. It's a horrible burden. Bernard's like, she must be burning from the inside. And then your own husband is lying to you, going behind your back and betraying you. So that gives you something else to worry about. So like, I understand why she might be about to crack.
Yeah. And it's like he's doing all the things that used to serve you, and like the things that you really like about him and realize like are his real strengths, but he's using them against you, which is like a complete betrayal. It's like, yeah, you're supposed to do that kind of stuff, but not with me.
Right.
Yeah. Of course I want you to be ruthless, and I want you to be a killer when you need to be, but not when it comes to me. So yeah.
I wonder why she put, if she is not kind of playing a double agent, why she put Juliette in the cell with Robert. And also, where did Nurse Amy go?
That's a good question that I've seen a lot of people ask. What happened to the nurse? Did they kill her? And I think, I think what you said about the off-screen thing in this episode, it didn't really it didn't set my radar off that there was some big revelation there after they cut the scene. And I also don't think that they killed the nurse, but
she was waving that around last week.
Maybe there's a different cell, and maybe she didn't want them. It was super weird that they put Juliette and Rob together, and then she said like, and this is my theory on it. I think it's because those are the people that she knows that she might need to call on if shit goes down.
Yeah.
So like she's not putting them there for really any other reason except for if they're there together, then she knows where they're at.
Yeah, that's true.
And because I feel like she, Juliette is her adversary this season. That's the way things are set up. But she also knows that Juliette could be useful if she did flip. And Rob's already on the other side. So, I think having them there is just a little bit of insurance.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's a good, like, in-universe explanation. I mean, in my head, I'm just like, so Rebecca Ferguson and Common can have scenes together next week in the jail cell, or stage a prison break together somehow.
Well, if you think about it, like, go ahead.
No, just go ahead, because I was going to change the subject.
So okay. Yeah, just real quick. I was going to say the interesting thing is that, like, Camille can't really force Rob to do anything because the only leverage she could use over him is their son. And she also cares about the son. But Juliette has a lot of other people she cares about that, like, if you went real bad and said, like, I'm going to, cut off one of Walker's fingers unless you tell me what you guys are up to, like, that could be a way to, like, Juliette is still a little bit.
I'm going to waterboard our son.
Yeah, she can't.
She has not gone full mafioso yet.
Yeah. She can't, like, torture Anthony because that's
bring in one of Anthony's fingers the next day and be like, I'll do one every day until you tell me what I want to know.
This is getting into, like, Game of Thrones universe.
Oh my God.
One thing I was going to say is putting them together means that she can force them to drink the water. Like, this is probably just something that they hadn't thought of, but that when they were outside of there, they were able to not drink the water. They were able to do the 90% juice plan. Inside there, she kind of is in control, and she could wipe them both if she wanted to. Like, they have to drink or die at some point.
Yeah, you can't go.
That's a good point.
I don't know how long you can go without water. I know you can go without food for like 2 weeks or something. Apparently,
you can only go like 2 days without water.
Yeah,
water is much more immediate. Yeah, you need to have water within 48 hours, I think. Something like that. And you'll happily take the waters of oblivion after probably a day and a half with no water too.
Yeah.
You're like, I don't
for
care.
sure.
I don't want to die. Like your body will tell you you have to take
Yeah.
it. You know?
Totally. Wait, one line that I loved before we move on was when Camille says to Sims, like, Anthony's happy to go back to the way things were when I'd come home at night and you wouldn't. And I was like, oh, that's cold. Like, that's cold
It
while your
really
husband's
is.
in a jail cell. Like, yeah, things are back to normal now, basically.
But also, how many days does she have to tell Anthony, like, oh, your dad's just working on a big project, just like the good old days? Like, eventually, if he's not home in like 3 days, I feel like Anthony's gonna get a little suspicious.
Yeah.
I feel like they got to fix this up because if not, Anthony's going to be stealing more. You know what I mean? Like this kid is going to be boosting stuff from the marketplace or whatever they do.
He's gonna have to get sent to supply.
Yeah, he's going to be down there working in supply where he'll be able to really put some shit together down there. The thing I wanted to, we're coming up on 2 hours almost. So the thing I wanted to shift to was whenever you were talking about sharing scenes, you were talking about Juliette and Common sharing scenes, and I was thinking about this one that she shared with Bernard earlier. It felt like a setup, didn't it? Like they need to have nothing really that important came out of their conversation. It felt like it was just sort of one of those TV things where they need these two characters they needed her to realize that Bernard's not such a bad guy, which makes you think maybe they won't see each other again or something's going to happen. And then I thought at the end, whenever Walker says, I'm not going to be alive long enough to forget her, and then that cuts to Bernard, he was definitely thinking about doing something to fix the situation. Would you agree?
I could see that. I mean, I've definitely been like going through my head of like which character is going to be sacrificed by the end of the season. I think you've made a good case for Bernard. I think at one point I was thinking Shirley or Knox because of the pregnancy. However, I found out that the actress, I don't know if she's given birth yet, but she was pregnant at the time of filming. So I think that is just more of a logistic thing versus a reason to like make us believe that that's going to happen. So Shirley and Knox are maybe out of the running, but I would say Bernard seems like a good candidate right now.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of the conversations have felt like in a good way. I mean, I enjoy all of Bernard's scenes, but him talking about what he did to the woman he loved, and I think he'll never be able to forgive himself for what he did to Judge Meadows. And I think the parallel of knowing that Solo's mom basically both his parents sacrificed themselves, but the line of Lucas saying like she sacrificed herself for the silo, I could see Bernard doing something like that, because I'm curious to know what his, not like I want more Tim Robbins in this show. I love him. He's one of my favorite characters, but now that he's kind of made amends with all the people he's wronged, like what is going to be his purpose outside of all of this once they do whatever they need to do by the end of this season, or stop the safeguard, which is probably where the season will end, maybe.
Yeah, that was exactly what I was thinking about what he was saying. I mean, he says, I can't make up for what I've done. And he can do everything he can to stop it, but he's never going to be able to feel okay about it. Like you just said, he's not gonna be able to forgive himself, and he's never really going to be a part of what they are either.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like she can look past it. She cannot hate him, but he's always going to be what he was. Like, that's just how it goes. Like when you're the guy who's at the top of the pyramid of like just sort of, like terrorizing everyone for like decades, like
right.
You don't just then say, and everyone doesn't say, hey, welcome into our group. Like, we're glad you changed your mind.
Come hang out with us in the down deep when this is all over. Like, he doesn't have any friends or any power outside of this.
And that's one of the things that really hit me about Camille too, is that she has no one. Like she's talking
Yeah.
to the friggin' algorithm that is like basically trying to trick her into doing what it wants it to do. You know what I mean? Like she really is completely isolated at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Which is why I think she could snap and crack, because the one person who is supposed to be kind of unflinchingly by her side has completely betrayed her for Juliette, who was someone they both hated in a way for like what she did to Anthony. So
yeah, I feel like she's already melting down a little
failed.
bit. Like she's not keeping her. She's usually like really cool and collected, and you can just tell she's getting like agitated. Like I think, and her and the algorithm are both getting that way. Like they're just so annoyed at each other, and I think that it's like a toxic relationship. Like I think they hate that they're the only person in each other's lives right now. So they kind of hate each other right now. And yeah, so we'll just see, like we said, we'll see if her cracking point is like burning everything down or like actually switching sides and doing something good.
Yeah.
Is there anything you guys want to say about the Orla Kent? I don't think it's wrapped up. I'll just say that, but I feel like we did get an answer to what was going on there. Is there anything you guys want to add on that?
I feel like we got something, but we didn't get everything. So to me, it just feels unfinished. Like there's no way that Harwood just stole a couple light bulbs during the rebellion because he was worried about them and then stole 50 years worth of light bulbs. Like there's absolutely no way that's where it ends. And that he's like, oh yeah, the rebellion, I was worried about it. So I grabbed a few, I pocketed a few. So I just think I think that Mike is the fall guy, and he's like, yeah, Mike did it. Blame Mike. And even though Mike probably is the one who actually killed her, I think it's all maybe a little bit of a redirect because there is something more going on there.
Yeah. I'll say for me, I have this thing where I want there to be something more, because like, if this is it, I think it's a lot of time for something that's not extremely interesting, honestly. Though I think I had a little conversation with Pete and something clicked where I do think there is kind of like a parallel a little bit between like Harwood and Stenson and sort of people making these decisions on behalf of the greater good, but none of those people have a say. Like, you know, Harwood kind of being like, oh, I will be a better protector of these light bulbs than the people that actually run supply right now, which is like
a light bulb steward.
Yeah, which is like a very kind of, it's like, well, why you, right? Like, why you, everybody in the silo? Like, why are you the right person to protect these?
Yeah.
I guess, I don't want to say I've been let down. I guess I just feel like there's been other types of like theorizing we've had that, you know, the answer does just end up being so straightforward. So I'm watching this storyline and I'm like, maybe it is just as straightforward. But I want it to be something more. Because I don't know, it just seems like we spent a lot of time for the explanation to be very simple, but maybe the only thing we're supposed to take from this is this new elevator that's been built, right? Because you could see how maybe that will be helpful for the Juliette crew to use it to trick Camille in some way or one up her through this tool they have that she doesn't know about. And maybe that's all that comes from the storyline. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I just feel like Harwood has to have a second plan or just be really like a huge butthead, because the idea of everyone dying in the dark in 2 years is very terrifying. And Billings is ready to send him out to go clean. Like he is pissed off. And I would think Harwood wouldn't want everyone to die in the dark as well, but I guess he has all the light bulbs. So yeah, like 50 years worth of light bulbs must be a lot, I would assume. So I'm just, I will be disappointed in that if there's no more to that story.
Yeah.
But I'm crossing my fingers that there is.
Yeah. They rushed through it all so fast too. Like we didn't hear anything from like Davidson, like no protesting.
That
It was
was-
all just wordless.
That was
Yeah,
the
they kind of
part
just
that I
rushed through
thought.
it all.
I thought that was what worked the least. Like it was like
Yeah.
a whole season of buildup, and then it was just like, okay, like literally, like that's done. You know?
Yeah, and what kind of weird, because I actually missed, like I watched this show carefully, and I feel like the mic thing was a blink and you miss it. Like it didn't really occur to me until my second watch of this episode. And like it almost felt like Billings' conversation with his wife, Kat, felt like the wrap up for it. Like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
I told her sister.
Yeah.
We told her what happened. We didn't tell her everything. It sucked that I had to go through that alone. And I'm like, well, that's not you wrapping this up with a nice little cherry on top and a bow and saying, that's it. We're not going to be talking about this next episode. At least I hope not. Cause yeah, I'll be a little annoyed if so.
Yeah.
Like in my video, I pointed out that parallel between what he was doing and how it's very like what Harwood was trying to do is very similar to what Tara is trying to do, and how how he may have had really good intentions in doing that, if we can take him at his word, but there was obviously these things that happened, like Orla died, and I would like a little bit more as far as that, but I do also when I was trying to sort it all at the end of the episode, I was like, it must be about the elevator then, like the actual elevator, because Billings knows there's going to be this, but they haven't, I don't think so far that Camille knows about the elevator yet. So they might, if something was to pop off, they might have that advantage over her of where they could move easily between the levels, and she wouldn't know about it yet because they are trying to cap that pipe. And, I don't know, that could somehow be important. But
that's such a convoluted way to just introduce an elevator, though, right?
Like create a whole other mystery around it.
Like you had to like cast someone to be Knox's father, and like really the best part about that in this episode today for me was Knox just being funny, like talking about his dad, punching his dad in the mouth, those things, he said, I always wanted to ask you the question, my whole life.
Yeah, Knox knocking him out.
Yeah. So, I feel like it feels a little unresolved. I let's not pass judgment, I guess, until we see what happens next week. But
yeah,
what you're saying is very true. Like whenever him and Kat were talking, like that was sort of like, we can put this all behind us now and go back to the way things were before the big light bulb thing. Chris, you just wanted to be like the brightest tunnel from 18 to 17, huh? You want that theory to be correct.
Yes.
You want to find out those light bulbs are going to good use somewhere.
They're just walking down like, I don't know, it's like Vegas or whatever. Their disco tunnel.
They put
like
timers on them so they
orchard.
they put timers on them so that they
it's like a strobe light.
Cool.
Did Knox's dad look like a knockoff Stellan Skarsgård to anyone else, or do I just have like face blindness?
There was
now that you mention it, I could see it.
I was like not exactly, but like in the same, like maybe he could be a Skarsgård. I don't know.
I was trying to think if there's anything more in that, and I guess one thing, maybe some people forgot that the elevator itself is a violation that you could have to go out and clean for. And that is important because it's like I said earlier, this is something that's built into the life they live. Like that rule exists because they don't want people from the bottom of the silo to be able to go back and forth. They can't have radios. They can't communicate easily because they want the population to be easy to control.
Yeah. Well,
and those are all
question. Sorry.
Go ahead.
No, I just have a question about the book. Like, because I was just going to say how it is such a big reveal to have the elevator, but I feel like maybe this season it feels like less of a big deal than it would feel in season 1 because of how lax they've been with a lot of the rules. Like it does seem like they've been going up and down faster. They have their little pulleys in the construction site. And I was just wondering, like, is that a thing that happened in the book? Like, did the rules get that lax?
No, like a lot of this stuff that's happening in the silo right now didn't happen at all because when Juliette came back, like there was an immediate, that sets things in motion.
Mm-hmm.
The show couldn't do it that way because they had to keep both storylines going at the same time, or else, like I said, they would just have skipped having the silo at all in this season. Like they could have done the mission story. Like if they followed the books completely, they would have done Daniel's story on the outside, and they would have done mission would be the guy whose diary they read last time. That was the thing that was in the silo, and that was in 150 years before, during the big rebellion. So that's when he lived. So it would have been flashbacks to before times inside the silo and flashbacks to before the silo existed.
Yeah. I know, because I don't want to complain because I really liked the episode, but just as we were talking, I was realizing that I do think my brain would have had more of a reaction to it in like season 1, because in that season they were emphasizing all the time, like how it was like 2 days to like, go and visit your friend downstairs or something. And it like really was a pain to travel through the silo. And that was like really, really emphasized. And I think it's been less emphasized this season. So I just don't think I know it's a big deal, but I just had less of like a, whoa, there's an elevator reaction that maybe I like should have had.
Yeah, because they've been going up and down on those little seats to cross the gap all season,
Yeah. But I guess it's not as big of an area, right? Versus going like all the way from like, I don't know. They've been going down to mechanical a lot too, though. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, supply is near mechanical, and that's like 70 levels or something, right? So like it's a lot. There's a big gap. That is the question, Trumper Vex. Why? Why do they need them to be easy to control?
Do they just mean all the people in the silo?
Yeah. Like I said, they want the population to be, they don't want them to communicate or move too fast. They don't want information to spread. They try to control that because that would keep people, like the people up top would think of the people in the down deep as the other, they would hate them. They would say like, they're not like us. They're those dirty mechanicals,
Yeah.
Tribalism.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
I feel like that is the major points.
Yeah. Is there anything? Is there anything we didn't cover? I was like, it feels like we missed something, but
I feel like, I mean, do you like now they're back to their backup plan pretty much, like the whole, hey, let's figure, to blow up judicial.
Juliette is in judicial currently though.
And then, I mean, could they even get back in to judicial again? Because now I feel like the Raiders are at least like they have Sandy with them. And even though she's trying to give Juliette a heads up, what is their next move? I'm curious.
Yeah, let me ask you this, because the the theory is that Bernard is going to do something. He's going to do something dramatic. He's going to sacrifice himself. But like, what would that be? How would that play out? How would that change the situation? Like, because as far as the people down in Martha's workshop are concerned right now, their problem is that their de facto leader has been jailed.
Yeah.
And they can't have a conversation or have any, the power dynamic can't be neutralized until they cap this pipe. So those are their two things, right? We need to stop the safeguard and we need to rescue Juliette. How does Bernard doing some dramatic sacrifice achieve either of those goals?
Yeah, I'm curious now thinking back, because you're right, Gab. Like, even with their original plan to blow up all of Judicial, they still had to dress people up to go undercover just to get in there in the first place. Like, that part of the plan has never changed, whether they're blowing up the whole thing or whether they are actually, able to cap that one specific pipe. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if they have to like raise up a small army and just like, go in by force, but I don't know if they have all the same equipment they did during the rebellion, and that other side clearly has guns and such. So
yeah,
I'm not sure how to do that, unless like Bernard just like runs in with like a suicide bomb, but I mean, he'd still have to like run past people and like get far enough in to do it.
Yeah, and Bernard like can't even really run much. Like, I feel like all you'd have to do is like trip him and he'd go down, because
not our action hero.
I pulled up this because I was going to say that I might have misread a little bit. This guy is saying that there's no gas or poison, and I think they mean outside, that it's nanobots. I thought they were implying, when I first looked at this, that they were implying that the pipes don't have poison. And I think the pipes do 100% have poison inside of them, right?
Yeah.
The ones inside. Yeah.
Yes.
Like
because
the safeguard that we are.
That's what happened to Solo's mom. Like they established that pretty directly by her sealing herself into her doom. Her sacrifice was not because nanobots were coming out of the pipes, but because poison gas was coming. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there's definitely poison gas in the pipe.
Yeah. I feel like that person's referring to like outside.
Yeah. That's what when I pulled it up, I thought that my initial thing was they were saying like no gas anywhere, but outside. Yeah. That's an argument that you could make in a discussion you could have. But as far as the pipe's concerned, I think that they're right. That is gas, and it will get away if you don't figure out, you can't just brute force it. Like they have to deal with that. That makes things more complicated.
Yeah. Yeah. The safeguard's definitely like a real imminent threat.
Because, okay, let's say for a second, it is nanobots outside. And again, I don't know exactly how nanobots work. And when someone goes out to clean.
And they did not establish that. So we can't, you know what I mean? Like we don't really know how they work in this world either.
Yeah. The only thing I would say is, okay, if the tape doesn't fully work, the nanobots can get into the small holes instead of the poison and like make you go down as well. So in a same way, it's literally whether it's poison being pumped up through the ground or nanobots, they have the exact same effect on the person. Like as in it gets them to die.
Makes you dead.
Yeah, it makes you dead, and it goes through the tape. But yeah, I think there's.
Why wouldn't nanobots get Juliette then? Like,
because she had the good tape.
But like,
she had that good tape.
Yeah, but like nanotechnology can't get through. Like, I don't know, because if Walker didn't know about it, like, why would this tape be nano-proof?
No, it's true, because if the outside isn't poisonous, like the nanobots could just cut like extremely small holes in your suit and still get in anyway. They don't need just like a window through the tape, or like
I feel like the whole point of nanotech. Yeah, I feel like the whole point is that it should be able to get through like literally anything, right? I mean,
yeah, that's true.
So I don't get why it wouldn't get Lucas or anyone.
Yeah.
Unless
it's
like
good tape.
I can't wait until we actually find out.
That tape is really good down in mechanical.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. That's why I just said that earlier. Like I know how nanobots work in different sci-fi stories and stuff, but I don't think the show really explained too much about it yet. Right now,
Yeah.
it's just
Yeah.
nanos, like magic. And it may stay that way, but I feel like they'll probably explain the applications at some point. So we don't really need to spend too long guessing, because it's not like a mystery to solve. It's something that they actually have to tell us, because it's not something that exists in our world.
Yeah.
Not
And like,
like
I feel
that.
like it is, I mean, I know there's things that are similar, but I do feel like it is a little different in each piece of, um, sci-fi, like literature or
Right.
TV, right? I mean, I don't think there's one
It's all speculative.
one
Like,
manual for how nanotech works. Like, it does seem a
Right.
little
Yeah.
bit different depending on who's depicting it.
exactly. So, are we ready to wrap it up? What do you think?
I think so. I mean, I'm going through our list of like, is there anything we didn't cover? Harwood Orla. Yeah. I think so.
I'm good with it.
Yeah.
We will be back next week. So you guys are both going to be here, right?
Yeah, I'll be here.
Yes, sir. I'll be here.
Alrighty.
I feel like
So,
we're getting
yes.
into like the best episodes, hopefully. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed.
It's become such a weekly thing now. It's going to be, and it's actually, this is the easiest one so far, where I didn't have to do the other show right afterwards. So, this has been the most relaxed one for sure. And looking forward to it, but we're getting to the end. We're almost there. I think, we'll do the next 2 episodes, but then I think that usually when I do these, I do a wrap up at the week after. So there'll be a few more, but we are getting to the end. So why don't you guys tell them where they can find you, and I'll put your links in there again.
Awesome. Well, thanks. The chat was great today. It's awesome seeing what you guys have to say, and you guys are really funny and have great ideas. You can find me on YouTube primarily at Miscellaneous Gab. I also do post some shorter reactions and stories sometimes on my Instagram and sometimes on my TikTok, which is also at Miscellaneous Gab. And yeah, I love reading all the comments and responding and chatting with you guys. I read everything. So come hang out.
Hi, and I am Cris Cinema. You can find me primarily on TikTok. I am also on Instagram as well. I've been doing my little silo recaps on TikTok, and it's been fun like connecting with everyone over there. But I do love coming on these live streams because everyone is like very, very active over here on YouTube. I've had a few people say I should start a YouTube, so I will try to do that as soon as I can because I love the community over here. But if you are on TikTok, come give me a follow because I talk a lot of just a lot of TV reviews, recommendations, all the things.
Yeah, definitely follow these guys. Are you guys fans of Hannibal?
I haven't watched it. I hate to admit. I know people love it though.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I never watched it intensely. It was something that when it was running that I would watch, and there was definitely not to I don't have a standard response. I didn't watch it that close enough to have what I think. One of the things that I remember though is that some of it seemed really awesome and some of it didn't work as well, like the ones that I saw, but definitely worth checking out. That's what I would say for sure, is that if you haven't seen it, you should probably at least check out some of it,
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll be back next week. Perhaps we will have a special guest, but it'll be us at least. And thank you all for coming. Thanks everyone who asked questions in the chat. There was a few times where this chat was going so fast that I couldn't really even follow and listen to everything that you guys were saying. So that's a nice problem to have, I guess.
Yeah.
And, you know, thanks for all the super chats and supporting the channel. Got a couple more episodes. Hopefully, maybe get some extra videos out too now that I have a little more free time. There's a couple things I was thinking about doing. And yeah, that's it. That's it for this week. We'll see you next week. See you guys.